Hey everyone, welcome to the Random Spirit podcast. I am your host, Cynthia. Today, I am speaking with a beautiful soul named Laurén. She has a program called Cosmic Baddies, and she basically builds you up. She helps you with your creativity and helps you tap into your true, authentic self. She does this by reading your birth chart and your human design and letting you know where it is that you are most powerful. I hope you all enjoy this episode as much as I did. We talk deep, we go deep. Here is Laurén. Welcome, Laurén, to my podcast.
Yay! Thank you, Cynthia. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, how are you on this Sunday?
I'm good. As you know, it's been a little bit of a rough week with my dogs, but we're back. We're back in flow, feeling really good, really excited to chat with you and your amazing platform. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Everyone, this is Laurén, and she is amazing. She
Oh.
literally, like, you have changed my life just recently
Oh my gosh. Thank
with
you.
like she has like a Cosmic Baddie program, and
Yes.
it's just so interesting. I just love, and I'm like forever grateful and thankful for you because
Oh.
it's like a therapy session. Okay, you know
Yeah.
how many times, like, wasn't it every time I cried?
Every time, and for both of us, that's the thing too. When you're doing, like, as healers and coaches and intuitives, I tell everyone, you guys are always like, thank you so much. I'm like, well, it's a two-way street, like, thank you, because it really means a lot to me. And sometimes I get off, most of the time, because I'm such a freaking crybaby, I'll get off the Zoom and just cry, like, in gratitude, because I just feel really lucky to work with the women that I work with, because you guys are all so powerful and amazing. And watching you guys step into your power is like, sometimes I'm like, I can't believe this is what I get to do. Like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So I'm just as thankful. And it's just as life-changing for me. It really, really is.
I'm holding back tears.
Don't
We're not crying
get
today.
us started. We look. We're not even 5 minutes in.
I know. Okay, so I just want you to just go on and just like tell
Mhm.
us your story, whatever you're comfortable with, like
Yeah.
on how you came about this amazing, beautiful program that you have.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I come from a really conservative background. Both my parents were military, hardcore Christian, and I did question my world and my reality, but I wasn't really taught to, and I wasn't allowed to. And then in 2012, I had my first spiritual awakening with the help of some plant plant medicine, we'll say, some mushies, and they pretty much woke me
Oh,
up. That was
wow.
my awakening. Yeah.
You
It
were
woke
young.
I was 20 years old. Yeah, not even. I was like 19.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh,
Yeah.
girl.
Oh yeah, 2012, I did mushrooms, and it was just supposed to be for fun with my friends. Meanwhile, I'm like sobbing in a corner, and I'm like, everything is connected and we're all love.
That
And
Pisces moon.
I know. And that was my first awakening. And the girl that I did mushrooms with was like one of my closest friends at the time. We experienced we had a lot of metaphysical experiences. We even experienced telepathy together,
Oh my
all these. Oh
gosh.
yeah, it was trippy stuff going on. And then all of a sudden she passed away, and I went down this mental spiral and depression, and I got addicted to drugs. I was doing all kinds of pills, and I went down the spiral. Even though I had woken up, I was depressed because I felt like I knew the secret that reality isn't what we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like no one understood me. And so I was in this like trap of escapism, kind of. But long story short, I ended up not really telling people about my spiritual beliefs or practices, and kept it a secret, and continued to work a job that I hate and do all these things. And come 2020, pretty much the same thing happened again.
Oh
And it
shit.
was my second awakening, and I felt it coming because I was caught up partying and doing drugs. And I even told my friend, I was like, last time I was doing this, someone died. And literally a week later, the guy that I was dating passed away from a drug overdose.
I
And
am
then,
so sorry.
yeah, it was a wild time. And he passed away in March 2020, which was right when um COVID hit. So I had also lost my job at that time. And then I had also lost my apartment. I lost, it was just my whole world came crumbling down again. And I pretty much was just like, God, like, universe, what am I supposed to do? Like, I pretty much just like threw my hands up in the air, like surrendered, like, what am I supposed to do? And um, I felt called to start my business at the time, Laurén Juniper, which was my self-care magic store, like candle rituals and self-care products, and worked on that really hard and got that in stores. And it was the first time I saw, like, wow, I can do something I love and it can be fruitful, you know.
Yeah.
And since then, now I've just been called to help other women who are really meant to do something, help, you know, shift the collective, and really tap into their passions. I've just been called to help them. And it's just kind of funny how everything works, because I never thought I would be a full-time healer, I guess, because, you know, I
Yes.
was so, yeah, I fought it for so long. I fought it for so long. And the universe pretty much forced me into this work. And I'm so thankful, because, like I said, I had no idea that I could experience like emotional fulfillment like this in the work that I do. So that's kind of how I've got to where I am today, I guess.
Oh my God. Did you like grieve? Like, how was it when you lost your fucking best friend and
Yeah.
the guy that you dated, girl? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, and their anniversary dates are like a week apart. And so it it felt, honestly, both felt pivotal in my development. And I know now that it was part of like my soul journey that I signed up for, I guess.
That's
And
deep. That's
yeah,
fucked up.
I know, you know, that's how it works though. That's just part of the universal experience of learning love, is, you know, sometimes having loss. And the first loss was the roughest, because I was young, I was 20, and I had never experienced loss before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just used to, like, my grandparents had passed away, and, you
Yes.
know, and I was young, but it wasn't someone I had just saw like the day before and then they're
Mm-hmm.
just gone. And also someone I was having these magical experiences with. And
Mm-hmm.
her death as well, there was a lot of trippy stuff going on, and it was messing with me. It drove me crazy. Like, I literally went crazy
Mm.
trying to just figure it out and understand what was going on. It didn't make sense to me. And but it woke me up. Like, it really woke me up to there being more to life. It enhanced my connection with source, because I was crying out to God, and it made me develop this relationship with
Mm-hmm.
spirit through my loss, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really rough 2 years. I mean, I was not the person I am today. I was a completely different person. I was a party girl. I was depressed. No one wanted to be around me. I lost all my friends at the time, because I was just constantly on drugs, and I was negative, and I was depressed,
Mm-hmm.
and no one wanted to be around me. And for good reason. Like, I didn't even want to be around me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was incredibly suicidal at the time. And so, yeah, but somehow you just fight through it. But, you know, there's a theory in spirituality, it's like called the slingshot theory. And it's like the idea that the soul that decides to pull itself back to the depths,
Mm-hmm.
to the deepest, darkest depths, once it slingshots out, you know, you learn how to alchemize that, and you understand what the greater purpose of all of that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some deep shit.
I
Fuck.
know. Yeah. There's a lot to be learned from grief and loss, you know, and
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
a lot to be learned from that.
So the oils that you sell, tell us more about that, girl. I want to
Yeah,
know.
so really I started making these ritual candles because I was really into color therapy, like in relationship to the chakra system.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
really what it started as. So the candles, they're like two-toned candles, and they're like tapered, the tall, skinny tapered candles.
Mhm.
And so I started making those, and those really took off and did really well. And then I made some other candles, and then I made body oils, and I have some meditation sprays as well. So like a Palo Santo spray and a ritual or an angel water ritual spray. But it's kind of funny, to be honest with you. You know, I started that in 2020.
Mhm.
And I'm at this phase in my spiritual journey now, if I'm being completely honest, where I'm learning you don't even need that stuff.
Mhm.
You don't even need that stuff. You know, they're tools.
Yes.
They're
Mhm.
tools, and they're great and they're fun. And I like them because they look really pretty. And I like, you know, my home is very important to me. I'm a homebody,
Mhm.
and I like a home that feels sacred and, you know, all of that stuff. And so I like it for that. But most recently this year, I've been learning we don't even need those things. And I think a lot of times people, and it's just part of the journey, so there's no shame, but a lot of times people become really attached to the rituals, right?
Yes.
And really attached to the deities.
Mhm.
And the thing is, all of that is also part of the illusion of Earth. You know, we're living in Earth is an illusion. It's a
Mhm.
projection. It's we're living in the illusion of separation from God. And so even when you are looking for these other things to create connection with God, you're still emphasizing the separation in a sense.
Damn, girl.
Yeah, this is I
So
know this
it's
is
like God to, see God is like within you, right?
right. Yeah, so God, we are God. You know, we just feel separated from God. And that's why in the Bible it talks about, you know, the kingdom within.
Mhm.
That's what Jesus was preaching. And of course, you know, the Roman Christian church, they went and took that and completely turned it into
Mhm.
something else. But Christ consciousness, we know the kingdom is within. And so a lot of times, and I still listen, I still blow my cinnamon on my door.
Yes,
You know,
girl.
I got my cinnamon stick next to my bed, but I have come into this new place of, but at the end of the day, I don't actually need that. The kingdom of God was within me. It's all about where you're residing in your mind, you know. And when we sometimes get obsessed with the deities and, you know, all of that type work, we're still emphasizing the lack. We're still emphasizing the separation, that we're trying to come back into wholeness with source.
Mhm.
And so when we do all these things, sometimes we get attached to that. I get a lot of people are like, I'm going to put the moon water out. I'm going to say this proverbs, and I'm going to say my affirmations, and I'm going to pray really hard. And I'm like, you're making it so hard on yourself. You don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any of that. And I've been there, and, you know, a lot of my stuff is affirmation work because it,
Yes.
it does help to a degree
Mhm.
to help shift your mindset. But eventually you get to the point where you're like, I don't even have to do that
Mhm.
because I have God within me. I have the kingdom within me. And deciding to, I got to pray so hard. You're still kneeling down to something outside of you. You just put yourself in another prison,
Mhm.
another mental prison, you know? So it's kind of interesting because my business was all about ritual work. And
Yes.
now I'm kind of outgrowing ritual work.
That's crazy, girl. Oh my
Yeah, so I'm
gosh.
kind of trying to navigate that space right now. Because I will say though, I love self-care. I love, like I said, I love having a sacred space.
Mhm.
I love how that feels. I think the real thing is just it's never about becoming attached to these things or making them become who you are and all of that stuff. And I'm a big fan too of the glamour magic. Like I said, I do this stuff all the time, but most recently, even
Mhm.
honestly, just the past few weeks, I'm realizing we don't need it. We don't need any of it. It's all still, all of that is all still part of the earth illusion that we sign up for.
You know your crown chakra's open, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, I'm like, it's so crazy because I don't really get to have like deep conversations
Mm,
like this because it's like that crown chakra. It's all about like attachment
right.
to earthly shit. Damn, girl,
Mm,
girl.
I know. I listen. This is where I've been the past few days. This is where I've been the past few days. Understanding. I mean, once you realize the earth illusion, and once you
Mhm.
realize Christ consciousness, and you realize the ego takes on is so slick. It's so
Yes.
slick,
Mhm.
and the ego will even be like, oh, I'm doing my rituals and I'm doing this. I'm so spiritually elevated, and now you've just spiritualized your ego, you know,
Mhm.
and now you haven't even, you're still operating from that. And it's hard to do. I mean, the ego is the reason we're in a body.
Mhm.
So if you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't even be on earth. And so it's like a space I'm navigating, and kind of understanding where I'm going in terms of that space. I've been really called to Christ consciousness lately, um, and just understanding what that means for me and my work, because it might even change Cosmic Baddies, to be honest.
That's interesting. It's so crazy. Remember, I don't know if you remember when I told you
Mm-hmm.
the relationship that I have with men and how toxic it
Yes.
is. And like the past week, I've kind of been like down, like but
Mm-hmm.
like it's oh my god. I feel like we're connected, girl, because every time I
We are.
meditate, I see you, and I'm like, what the Lauren? Stop!
Oh my god, that's so fun. Not me
It's
popping up.
so crazy, and it's like it's crazy, and like just like every now and then I get reminded, like like Christ consciousness, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And like
Yeah,
I stopped reading my Jesus book for a bit. I just need to
yeah.
like chill with, and it's just
It's so
I'm
interesting.
I'm mind blown. And then girl,
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
meditating, and then like I seen you were talking to me. I don't know what the fuck you were saying, and then out of nowhere I seen mushrooms, and I said
Oh.
no. I said no because in order for me, like, yes, like, I would love to, if I have the opportunity, someone to watch my kids for a week, and then me and my husband,
Right.
like Trey, we can go. Like, my dream, girl, is to go to the mountains and just fucking trip out
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
in a cabin.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't tripped in a while. I think for me, and I've heard theories that mushrooms, they have soul contracts as well.
Yes, they
Yeah.
literally like have a conscious, right?
Yes. So yeah, just like, cinnamon, they're spirits, I guess. They're
Mm-hmm.
spirits. And so mushrooms have a soul contract to help wake up humanity.
Girl.
And for sure it was a part of my awakening. And now I'm also again at this place of, well, I don't think I need it anymore,
Uh-huh.
because again, I think it's because the work that I've been doing has been so much about returning to wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about ease and abundance, all of that is returning to wholeness, and all of that is Christ consciousness,
Yes.
because that's what the real Jesus preached. That's what Buddha preached. It's about
Mm-hmm.
really returning to wholeness. And so I think the more that I've been in this space, when you return to wholeness, you realize how much you don't need
Mm-hmm.
to return there. And every now, I mean, I would love to have like a fun trippy trip for sure, but also it's like, we on one level though, you don't need it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't actually need it. But it is kind of interesting how the mushrooms have a soul contract to wake up humanity. And it was definitely, when I tell you, I mean, I was blasted open. I was like, oh my god, nothing I know is real, everything is a lie, I'm connected to everything. And mushrooms as well, I believe, rule the heart chakra.
That's
So
crazy.
they are really good for heart openers.
Mm-hmm. I
For
think I need my heart opened.
Yeah, one time.
Open the heart.
You don't give yourself enough credit, Sin.
It's the Capricorn moon.
Yeah, you don't give yourself enough credit
I'm
though.
like, meh, meh.
Yeah.
What
I
did you
mean,
want to be when you were younger? I did not mean to cut you off. You
no,
can
go ahead.
continue.
This is a good question. What did I want to be when I was younger?
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I had an obsession with like travel and the world, and
Ooh.
I was like, I really just, I mean, I grew up all over the world, and so I wanted to just travel and help people. As like weird as that, I didn't have like a job in my mind. I was like, I just want to travel everywhere and meet people and talk to people, and I don't know, but because of that, I ended up like studying, like getting really into like politics and stuff because that was the only.
Huh.
But yeah, but then that, as soon as I had my awakening in college, I was like, I don't give a fuck about politics. Like, you know, not to say that we shouldn't care about politics, but my focus completely changed. But I really wanted to be like a diplomat because I wanted to travel. In my mind, being a diplomat was like you travel around the world and you help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be like a diplomat or an ambassador. And it was just like acceptable to my parents because my parents were military. So it was like a safe thing, you know. It was under all that programming. It was like connected to all that programming.
Do you think politics like separates us?
Oh, 1000%. Yeah, politics, it's all part of the fucking illusion, the game of
Mm-hmm.
separation, you know, the two parties. And people don't realize, and it's really controversial to say this,
Yes.
but by okay.
Just say it, girl.
By like fighting the fight, you're just feeding that energy, right? You're just feeding
Mm-hmm.
the narrative. You're partaking in the separation. And the way that you actually heal it is by creating light in other areas, by not feeding it your attention, by not feeding it your energy. And the protesters will hate me for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's how it works because everything is energy, everything is a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either a narrative of separation or it's a narrative of unity consciousness. So if you're playing in the game of separation, when you're fighting against something, when you're placing yourself in opposition of something, you're fighting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're just fighting yourself. You're fighting returning to wholeness, right? So once you realize it's all a fucking game and it's all illusionary and we're all just actors on a stage for each other,
Mm-hmm.
once you realize that, you realize this is all part of the illusion, it's all part of the hologram. I don't have to feed this my energy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so people that's why a lot of people don't like a lot of the spiritualists, because that's kind of the new messages coming on. People are like, how dare you say that, because people are dying and there's poverty and da 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 da. And I'm not saying there's not suffering, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything
Mm-hmm.
about it. I do believe we need systematic change, but what I am saying is when the government won't save you, energy work will.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jeez. Look, it's so crazy. We live in a world where you kind of have to like watch what you say, and it's like
Hmm.
I guess you can say everything you just explained, like that's the 3D, right?
Right, exactly.
We're living in the 3D, and
That's the
like
three. Yeah.
I feel like I've checked out a long time ago, and like I always have this conversation with Trey, and I'm just like, I just want to live off grid. Remember I told you when we were
Yes.
doing that quantum thingy, and I
Yes.
was like, I just want to be in like a little house,
Right.
like.
Yeah, I've been having that thought lately too, since having all these new downloads about Christ consciousness and the illusionary state of the world. And I told you this book I read has pretty much been blowing my mind. The Disappearance of the Universe.
Yes,
You can
girl.
read that. Oh my,
Mm-hmm.
please read it. It's life changing. And you get almost to a point where you're like, well, then I don't want to be part of the world. I don't want to be part of the illusion, you know? um but that's why, you know, that's why monks became about and lived on top of a mountain. But when you still try to separate yourself from the 3D,
Mm-hmm.
you're still playing the game.
Yeah.
You're still in opposition to something.
Mm-hmm.
So the part is to learn how to be in the world but not of it, you know, which is what Jesus talked about. Not to make this a whole Jesus
Well,
podcast.
no, it's it's really nice because I feel like the connection that I have through with you probably is that Jesus, because
Mm,
I have so, and because of the fact that your crown chakra is just so fucking open and just vibing and bright, and I'm like in this loss, like, who even am I? Like,
Yeah.
who is God? Because, you know, growing up for me, you know, I grew up Catholic, and, you know, I'm sitting here praying to a God that, one, I don't feel a connection with.
Right.
And for two, like, you know, I was a rebel, and it's just like, you know, when people are like, you know, worship him, bow down, like, I'm not bowing down to nobody. Like, what?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Girl.
That's exactly how I was growing up. It didn't make sense to me. I was so confused, and I was like, why does God sound so mean?
Narcissistic.
Narcissistic as fuck. I'm like, who is this guy?
Like,
You
no,
know?
like, let me catch hands.
Right, literally. I'm like, this dude sounds horrible. You know, but then we find out in this book, The Disappearance of the Universe, why it's been like changing my life. It's because it talks about how that Jesus that they preach is not the real Jesus. That God that they preach is not the real God. You know, it was completely made up by, not completely, but so much false teachings and so much like editing.
No,
And,
for real.
you know, and the real Jesus, he was a quantum healer. His crown chakra was open. His third eye was open. He was just like Buddha. And he was teaching people how to leave the illusion of separation and to come back to oneness. That's what he was teaching. And he was killed because he was pretty much saying, I know that I'm God having a human experience. And people were like, who the fuck are you to say that? And that's why he was killed. But that's what's happening now. You know, the second coming that's talked about in the Bible is everyone waking up to that Jesus experience, to realizing that the kingdom is within. You don't need anything outside of you. And all you are meant to do is, the whole reason we come to earth, and this is what the book teaches, the whole reason we come to earth is to learn unconditional love and forgiveness. That's it. That's the whole reason that we come to earth, because according to this book, the earth was created because Source decided to split itself in a sense.
Yup.
Right? And because it decided to split itself, it's because it didn't want to stay in wholeness. So it left, and it created this illusion, this dream that we're experiencing, and it felt shame and guilt for leaving wholeness.
Well, damn.
And so all of our human incarnations are reflections of that guilt and shame and separation. And we're learning it through our family. We're learning it through our relationships, through our jobs, through whatever. And your job is to learn how to forgive yourself for everything, because really what it is Source, the universe, forgiving itself, coming back into wholeness with itself.
You know how hard it is to forget? Like, literally, I think that's one thing that I'm having very difficulty with, is just like letting go and just like forgiving, because like my Capricorn moon wants to beat some ass. Like, I want to go into my abstract mind and deal with you, but
it's not even, this is the thing though, I'm going to tell you, it's not even your Capricorn moon, it's your ego.
nah.
I know. Listen, this is the work I've been doing
The inner child.
this is what I've been doing the past few days. It's realizing, because that's how the ego feels safe. The ego's like, it's safer for me to hold on to this pain, resentment, whatever. It's safer for me to do that than to return to wholeness. The ego will always trick you into staying into separation for whatever reason it is, you know?
Is
And
this a
all of
therapy
us go
session
through
or what?
Oh my gosh. But
I'm
it's
so
the
done.
journey that every single person on earth has to experience.
That's just, how far down the rabbit hole have you gone, girl? Like, for real. Let's talk
So
about
far.
it.
Can you tell? I'm like, are my feet on the ground? Like,
No, like, it's like, I feel like just like okay, first of all, when you started talking about that book is actually on like my Amazon list.
it
My
was so
heart
good.
my heart felt warm, and I like just felt like really tingly. So eventually I will. I'm really bad with like sitting down and like
Yeah.
reading. I'm so bad with that. I don't know how
Yeah.
you do it, girl.
See, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not even halfway done with it because I'm kind of the same. But it is mind blowing. And once you start reading it, it's going to resonate so deeply because it's going to bring back truth that you already know and forgot. And you're going to be like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, it is mind blowing. Apparently, it was like really big in the early 2000s with like the new age people, I guess. I don't know if you've heard of A Course in Miracles.
I have the book, yeah.
Oh, so the guy who wrote that, he wrote this first.
Mr. Sir, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he wrote this first, and the story is, and it's a true story. His name's Gary Renard. In the 80s or 90s, I believe, he had two beings visit him. Like this is a true story. They visited him, and they looked like real beings, just like you and me, but only he could see them. And they revealed to him that they were from the future, but they pretty much they became ascended masters, and they were also disciples of Christ.
Ooh.
So they tell him all this stuff to write down to tell the true story.
Well, damn.
It is really, really good. It is amazing. They need to make it into a movie. Like, it's life-changing. I'm not the same person since reading it, I promise you. And I've been talking to other people who have read it, and they're like, oh yeah, that book will change you completely.
I need to step up but I haven't even finished the 4 Elements.
Oh, yeah. You know what though? I have that one too.
Book.
It's right here, and I haven't finished that one either. I don't think I mean, honestly, I'm not like read the whole thing because I haven't even read the whole thing. But if you can get into it a little bit, it's there. I mean, it helped me. I cried so many times reading it because it also has helped me to like work on forgiveness of my family and everything, because everything and every single person in your life is a projection of you.
Yes.
Everything. Whether they made you feel like shit, whether they were whatever, your soul, well, really your ego, came here to experience that, to learn forgiveness, to return to wholeness. That's it. That's it.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I'm not saying I've mastered this because I haven't talked to my mom in 5 months.
Girl, you better know.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's so we make it hard to practice. It's hard for me. Family stuff is the hardest. Forgiveness of family. It's really tough for me because my family, they don't understand me. They don't understand what I'm doing. I'm like crazy for this.
Yes, it's your passion.
But I also know that is part of my journey of coming back into wholeness, because there's a part of me that's shameful, or there's a part of me that doesn't believe in what I'm doing, and they're teaching me how to forgive that.
Damn. Do you have any siblings?
I have a little brother. Yeah, let me think. I'm 30, so he's like 27.
Wow. Oh, okay.
But we're so different. I'm the black sheep of the family. Like, no one is into any of this stuff. Everyone's very, I don't know, unawakened. But I hate saying that because I'm not trying to say that they're any lesser or anything. But yeah, pretty much.
That's it's so interesting because I can like say the same thing. I'm like the black sheep, and like it's so funny because when I went back home, and I think it was like 2021, I had like went back home to live with my mom for like a long extended time. Girl, tell me why my family were like, I have my cards into astrology, all this stuff, and they dead ass look to me, they go, witch. And I'm looking at them like, and then I was telling my dad, because I looked up his birth chart, and I was like, oh dad, he's a Virgo sun with the Sagittarius rising, and
wow,
a Aquarius sun, I think. And I was telling him, and he goes, Cynthia, he goes, mija, I don't believe in any of that. I give my heart to Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it's so funny. And it's like, It's so funny because the people, I mean, my parents too, they're just so hardcore Christian, but they're not even practicing what Jesus taught. And it's so frustrating, you know?
Yeah, it
Jesus
really
did
is.
Jesus did not teach to hate the gays. He did not teach that anyone was going to hell. What y'all are practicing is complete bullshit. It's all part of the illusion. It's all part of the game. You know, you just have to. People are scared though to question their reality. People are scared to question their reality.
I notice a lot of people, yeah, they get triggered, and then it's like, oh my gosh, everything I was told was a lie. Well, fuck yeah. So now go
Right.
on the road to find what is true to
What's
you.
true? Exactly. Exactly. And that's the fun part. I mean, it can be, like I said, it can be a little scary. Like even this week, I feel like I've had this. I don't even know what number awakening this is. But
Girl, oh my gosh.
but it's kind of scary, but then you realize, oh shit, this is the truth though, but this is the truth. I'm finding out the truth, and that's what I've wanted, you know. And when you get uncomfortable, my mentor told me this, when you get uncomfortable, that's a really good sign, because
Yes.
that's your ego, and the ego will want to make you squirm, and
Mm-hmm.
but that's when you breathe into it. And it's the same when people die, which this kind of morbid, but when people die, they go into fight or flight mode.
Yes.
They want to squirm or they get really uncomfortable, and it's because the ego's dying, because that's the only way to you know to leave your body is.
That's our attachment to Earth,
That's our
right?
attachment to earth, is your ego. So once you start waking up more and more, like just this week, I've been having these discussions about earth as an illusion and wholeness, separation, the source separating itself, and we're all source, and returning to source means forgiving and just love everything, and everything's illusionary. You don't need the tools, you don't need
Mm-hmm.
the candles. And coming into that, I got so uncomfortable because so many of my beliefs are like, I'm like, oh shit, that's illusionary too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's illusionary too. It's all, everything here on the earth plane is illusionary, and that's fine. It's also beautiful, but it's making me confront all these things that I've done and operated from, and it made my ego so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to cry it out a few days. And but that's where like all your freedom is, and just surrendering to that and letting go, because that's coming back to wholeness. That's coming
Yes.
back to wholeness. So, but yeah, people aren't taught how to do that, and that's why I was saying, I'm maybe with Cosmic Baddies it might change a little bit more going forward, but
I'm
yeah.
excited to see what more you do with that because you are like God sent.
Oh my gosh. Well, babe, I'm telling you, it's mutual. We're all reflections of each other. That's the thing. That
I
is the
know.
thing. It's so wild, you know?
What's the most challenging thing about like the work that you do?
Um, so to be totally honest, the most challenging thing is sometimes I get clients that are actually skeptics.
Okay, make it make sense, girl.
Well, because what they're doing is they are still operating from lack, and they almost want to prove to their lack, like, see, this stuff is fake. But there's a part of them that wants to believe it's real, which is why they do come to me.
Mhm.
But a lot of them aren't ready.
Mhm.
A lot of them are, some people will challenge me, and it's fine. It really is fine, because I get it. And
Yeah.
it's good for me because it makes me step up my cookies. I'm like, okay, I gotta set my game up, because someone is really making me challenge my beliefs. And
Mhm.
also, again, they are my projection. I created them in my projection, so
Yes.
I have to do that work too, on why I attracted some skeptical clients. And I do think when I did attract them, I was very early in my journey, and I wasn't as strong in believing in myself.
Mhm.
And so there's that work. But from their end, they'll come to me with the readings, and they'll buy into it, and like, wow. But I had one lady, she said, but like, I did her birth chart. I always start with the birth chart
Yes.
reading. And she said, but do you tell this to everyone? And I said, no, it doesn't work that way. Everyone has different charts. And now I'm realizing our birth charts are just blueprints of the ego, but that's another story.
Mhm.
So So I said, no, everyone has a different chart, you know, and that was the first kind of red flag. Like, why would I tell everyone the same thing, you know? And it kind of came up later, like, you know, some stuff I tell clients, we talk, we work through it, no problem, no problem. We're celebrating on the other side, whatever. With this client in particular, she had a lot of pushback. It was a lot of resistance. And she wasn't being mean. She wasn't being nasty. She just genuinely was trying to she genuinely was like, but why this or why that, you know? So, yeah, general, you know, so that makes work tough when you're, and I told her, I said, listen, my job is not to convince you of anything.
Yes.
My job's not to convince you of anything. I'm here to show you what I can, and you can decide if that resonates or not. And if it doesn't resonate, that is completely fine. You know, we're all in different stages. And I do think a healthy dose of skepticism is good too. But I could kind of tell, and she's someone who had been like a serial coacher, like someone who goes to coach after coach after coach after coach after coach.
Oh.
Which that's kind of a red flag for coaches. Like, if I've always heard, if someone says they've been to like 10 coaches and nothing's happened, then they're not, not like dream client, you know? And she was kind of one of those people, like she had every single book, she knew every course, she knew everything, but she still had skepticism. And again, there's no shame to this one, all very lovely woman. But in terms of challenging work for me, that it makes it hard. But I realized, again, she's my projection. And I wasn't in a place of fully believing in my work because I was still learning about myself, still learning about what I was doing, still learning about the modalities too, because there's so much to learn in astrology, human design, all these things. And she was just reflecting that to me. But yeah, skepticism, that's probably the hardest thing, is skepticism. And sometimes burnout. I think August I hit burnout for the first time in my work. And it's because I was loving what I was doing. I was like, every day.
You got a little carried away, girl?
I got a little carried away. And I was like, oh shit. At the end of August, I slept for like, and I got those migraines I was telling you. And I think it's because I was just in overdrive. And I mean, I was loving it. I was loving what I was doing. So that was great. But I wasn't taking time to cleanse my energy between sessions or to ground. And I was just living all up, you know, in the crown and with everyone else's energy, like every day of the week. And then at the end of August, I was like, I have a 3-day long migraine and I'm wiped. And it was just a reminder to make sure, even though I'm having fun and doing great and love what I do, I still need to do it the right way. So now, September, I was like, okay, in between sessions, we cleanse, we meditate, we take a breath, we drink water. Don't overbook just because you got to pay bills.
Yes.
You know? And so, yeah, so that's part of the work too, I think.
Are there any like bits of advice that you'd give someone that want to work with you, like you know, to prep them like on yeah, don't be a skeptic.
Don't be a skeptic. Don't be a skeptic.
Open,
be open.
It's crazy, like you know,
you should give the advice. I think I don't know what
no I just want to like put this in because like to read for someone that is so closed off, it is draining.
It is.
Okay?
It is.
Don't make our lives and our work harder than what it should be.
Right. Yeah.
Come in open.
Come in open. Yeah. You know, come in open. But again, those people who are doing that, there's a part of them, their ego is trying to hold them back from their freedom. And so their ego is, well, and that's what I say all the time. I say, listen, the logical mind, the analytical mind, I have to sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. The ego will always have a reason why. It will always, always, always have a reason why it's not true. It can't work. It's not real. Your job is to quiet that and surrender to the higher mind, surrender to allowing God in. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can tell when people are operating from that place. I'm like, okay, they're clinging on. They're
Mm-hmm.
clinging on to their lack, and they're not actually coming for healing. They're coming to reinforce the lack.
Mm-mm. Have you ever had to turn someone around and like deny
Yes.
service?
Yes.
Girl, I
So
can't with that.
I did, because I have the consultations, right?
Yes, girl.
So
Mm-hmm.
the consultations are actually, it's a two-way street, like I said. It's to one, for you to see, am I the right person for you? And it's for me to see, are you the right client for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-way street, because who wants to work with someone for 6 weeks that you're not aligned with?
Yes.
And I had one girl, and she said, bless her heart, she said, she was like, once again, and this is the red flag. I've been to so many coaches, no one can help me with this. Red flag. Um, I've been trying to manifest my ex-boyfriend back.
No.
And I said,
That
"Oh
can't
baby,"
go.
that's not what I do. I said, "That's not what I do." And she really was like, "Okay." I said, "You know what?" I said, "Well, what if, are you open to us working on self-love and
Yes.
seeing if maybe then he comes back, but not focused on him?"
Yes.
And she was like, "Oh, maybe." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "Well, I've worked with all of these manifestation coaches." And she was like, "I just don't understand, because if there's infinite timelines, why can't I just jump onto a timeline?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was really, and I was like, "Babes," I was like, "Yes, there's timelines,
Mm-mm.
but there's also, people don't realize how it works. There are timelines, but there also still is a divine plan. There
Mm-hmm.
still is a divine plan. And there's different ways to get to that plan. But if someone's not meant for you, they're not meant for you. And you can't, this is the thing why I don't believe in manifesting specific people, and why I don't believe in love spells,
Yeah.
because you're actually, it's all ego, and you're trying to control someone, and you can't control free will. You can't. You're not allowed to. And so she was like, "Okay." And she was like, "Well, I have a question. Do you practice law of assumption or law of attraction?" I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, I don't resonate with all these different, when we try to like box this stuff in and make it so rigid, and the
Yeah, you
rules,
can't do that.
it's like, this is the reason I left the church,
Mm-hmm.
like, law of attraction or law of assumption, which one do you practice? And it's like, really, it's all the same, babes.
Separation. Yeah.
It's like, it's like, there's no difference really. When you're assuming something, you're attracting something. It's the same thing. So I had to tell her I didn't think we would be a good fit. So yeah, I have had to turn people away.
Gee, does that do something to you, or are you just like,
No, I'm like, thank you God that we we knew not to do that. No shade, no shade, but it's just, like, okay, this person is not aligned, and it's like, I know I can't help her.
yes,
I know I can't help her, and I would not, I want to, when I'm like manifesting my clients and this and that, I want my dream clients. I want my clients that I feel aligned with on a soul level, you know,
yes,
just like with you, like our sessions
mm-hmm.
were so beautiful. And I'm like, that's my soul client.
Yes,
That's my soul client. And there's just some people that you're just not aligned with. And so you have to, I think a lot of people, coaches, when they're starting their businesses, are more focused on the money, which
oh
I
yeah,
get, because I have bills to pay. And sometimes if it's a slow month, I'm like, what am I going to do? But you just have to trust God. And I always say, if you are in service to others, if you're in alignment, the money will always come.
mm-hmm.
The money will always come. And a lot of people will take whatever client comes to the door because they want the check.
That's crazy. Like that is just so there was a point when I first started reading, there was a specific guy and he would come to me and like when you are passionate about something and then like you meet someone and you're doing the work and then they take the passion out of it and it just
Mm,
becomes and
yeah,
I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
no, I
yeah.
can't.
That's just kind of, yeah, on alignment. It's like, and again, though, it always comes back to you. It
Mm-hmm.
does, and
Yep.
that's the hard part. So when I had this client who was really skeptical, And I was like, man, I wasn't excited for the sessions. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
and I was like, what's going on? And had to come back. I said, Loren, everything is a projection of you. Why are you attracting this skeptical client? Oh, well, because you don't believe in your work right now.
Well, damn.
You know,
Way to smack ya.
I know. I was like, well, it's you. It is always you. It is always you.
What does Cosmic Baddies mean to you? What does like the
Oh.
work that you do, your human design, all your stuff?
hopefully, um, hopefully it's liberating more than anything. I really want it to be people to remember who they are in the world full of illusion, and to liberate that person who
Mm-hmm.
they are, and to be confident in that person and their truest self. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that process helps them come back to wholeness, right? And hopefully too, it liberates them from a place of fun too somehow. And a lot of the stuff we do is really serious, and we do the deep work. We'll talk about
Yes, very deep.
college, but at the end of the day, my hope is that it takes a weight off, and you can feel excited about your future, and
Mm-hmm.
you can alchemize yourself in that sense, to be excited for what's to come, and to be grateful for the whole journey, and
Mm-hmm.
to hopefully go and empower other people to do the same thing. That's my hope for Cosmic Baddies.
I'm telling you, like the whole, like just me and like, the videos that I do and the stuff that I do, like ever since like
Yeah.
working with you, I always sit here and like the last kind of been down and I'm just like trying to
Hmm.
figure my stuff out and I'm just
Yeah.
like I notice I force a lot.
Hmm.
And I'm just
Hmm.
like, Cynthia,
We
what are
all
you
do.
doing?
Yeah, we all do. It's really easy to do that. I do it all the time. And sometimes I still have to come back to center and be like, are we posting this because we're trying to purposely get people to like it and get good engagement? Or are we posting from a place of truth?
Yes, it's all about the intention
It's
and
all
the
about the
energy.
intent. Yeah, and that work never ends. It never ends. It really doesn't. It's an ongoing thing. I deal with it every single day. I do.
You were so raw and just so because I feel like a lot of like people like make it seem like they have it together
Yeah.
and I feel like earth and just this life, the
Hmm.
lives that we have, like it's just a lifelong, like you're always learning something. I
Yes.
don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that like there is someone on this physical earth that knows
Oh,
everything.
definitely not. If you did, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. And it's really easy for people, and I talk about this a lot in the spiritual community, to fall into that trap of spiritual narcissism of like, I've got it figured out, I've nailed it, and to make it look like everything is easy to your clients, to tell your clients that you've solved it, you figured out the formula. That's not true. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be here. I had someone hit me up in my DMs, and he said, hey, how much would it be for a reading? I told him the price. And then he goes, oh, well, I actually don't need it because I've reached nirvana, and I've reached nirvana already. I was just kind of curious, so I don't actually really need it. And he was like, I went to a Buddhist temple, told them I reached nirvana, and what do I do now? And they didn't know what to say to me, so I knew that they weren't able to help me.
Huh?
And I was like, excuse me? And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, best of luck to you, And he was like, yeah, once I figure out my purpose, I'm probably going to be one of the most renowned spiritualists in the community. And I was like, okay, have a great day.
What does it mean to reach nirvana?
If you reach nirvana, you would not be here. Nirvana is you don't have an ego. To not have an ego means to not have a body.
You'd be like it just be like you'd be a fucking master, like an
You
ascended
would be right. You would
master.
be an ascendant master. You would not be here with us. You would
You
not be sending me a DM asking for a birth chart reading.
you wouldn't be reincarnating.
You wouldn't be reincarnating. You would literally be in the astrals if you reach nirvana.
I'm so dead.
And then he told me he told me that he would be, yeah. But then he said, once I find my purpose. I'm like, wait a second. But if you reach nirvana,
Yes.
would
Ego.
Ego. And so it is one of the traps. And again, it's when you spiritualize the ego. So now your ego has learned all these spiritual terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your ego, and that's, people do this all the time. People learning the word boundaries, people learning the word gaslighting, and they'll use that to talk from their ego. You know, the ego's
Mm-mm.
tricky. It's a slick motherfucker. You have to really check in with. I do it all the time. I have to check in all the time. I cried like all past week because I'm like, am I leading people the right way? Am I teaching them the right things? Am I, you know, because I'm learning more and more and more. And now a lot of the stuff I used to teach, I don't think it's wrong. I just don't resonate with it as much.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, again, like the ritual work, I had a whole business about candles and rituals, and now I know you don't need them.
You're healing, you know, there's like, yeah, you're stepping into a whole new you.
Right, yeah, the journey never ends, and that's what I literally have been going through it, not in a bad way, but I've been continuing to learn more and more and realize, oh wow, it never ends. It actually never ends.
It
The
really doesn't.
awakening never ends. Oh,
Jeez.
yeah.
That is, oh, my brain, like,
I know, I know, I know.
we need to talk more, girl, because
I
I'm like,
I know we can do this again, but it's funny because I was up last night with one of the guys that I talked to who's been teaching me a lot about this stuff,
uh-huh.
and I was like, my brain hurts. I don't want to. I told him, I was like, I don't want to know anymore. Please. I was like, please. I don't want to know anymore. I don't. You know, because it's almost, again, it's the ego. Once you learn so much truth, it makes your ego so uncomfortable.
And then, you know, at least for me, like, I sit here and I'm like, what even is this?
Right. Exactly. It's like.
You, it's crazy because like there's a lot of times lately that has been my mindset.
Mhm.
I sit here and, you know, like poor Trey, he just looks at me and he just, you know, he nods his head. He's like, I don't know what's going on with you. But I sit here and I'm like, you know, like let's just sit here and just process and imagine. And we are in this world.
Mhm.
We're paying for water, girl.
Yeah, we're paying for freaking water.
Basic needs. And then I sit here and I just look at Trey and I'm just like, we have to pay for a roof over our head. We have to
Mhm.
pay for electricity.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'm
it makes
like,
sense.
it makes no zero sense.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
And then I'm sitting like at, maybe it's like my crown chakra, I don't know, but like I'm sitting here, I'm like driving and like I'm like just in my head, like in the middle of driving, I'm like, how is this car moving?
Right. I know. I know. I know. I'm telling
Like,
you. Yeah, I'm the same way. And it's so funny because it's like you go to the grocery store and the average person is like not thinking about these things. They're like picking their apples and oranges or whatever. And I'm over here like, this is crazy. You know? Like, and
all
that's
this
like, I want to turn
stuff.
my brain off.
Right. And I like a lot of the times, because like, you know, I used to have panic attacks and like I'm always on the lookout, like, okay, Cynthia, like we're
Yeah.
here, like I have to pinch myself. I'm like, okay, like I'm here, it's okay. And then it doesn't help because Scarlett and Alea, I don't know if I ever told you, Alea's crown chakra is like something about this crown chakra, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
she comes to me, she goes, Mom, she goes, what is the lesson that you needed to learn about having twins?
Oh my gosh.
And I will look at her and I'll be like, that is something I'm gonna have to ask the universe. And then last night, because they've been watching Elemental. I don't know if you're into like Disney and stuff.
Oh,
Um
I don't watch Disney much anymore. I don't have kids, so.
there's the movie Elemental,
Okay.
and it's about yin and yang, whatever. So
Oh,
basically you have like the fire and like the water and like,
okay. Kind of like Avatar.
yeah, like
Okay.
that. And it's like, you know, you have the fire and water coming in one and falling in love.
Oh.
And there's a part in the movie where it's dancing. Tell me why my 8-year-old, okay, is coming up to me. She goes, Mom, do I have a true love?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I don't know. And I sit here and I'm like, oh, just go on and like, ask the universe. And she asked the universe last night. She woke up this morning. She said, Mom, I seen, blah, blah, blah in my dream. And I
Oh,
looked at her and I was like,
oh my gosh.
you're 8.
Wow. The youngins though, they are next level.
What generation is that?
I don't even know, dude. I have no idea. They are next level though, the babies. Oh my goodness.
Like fucking alpha? I don't know. Do you want kids in the future? Are you like,
I do
I'm
want
just
kids.
vibing?
I do want kids one day. I've been told by like every psychic that I'm gonna have 2 kids, but they're always like, it's gonna be so late. I'm like, how late are we talking? Do I need to freeze my eggs? Like,
I need to know now, like what's going on.
like yeah, but I want it needs to be with the right guy, and I haven't until maybe just recently found someone like who can meet me where I'm at. I guess not meet me where I'm at. I don't mean that in like a
Yeah.
egotistical way, but genuinely speaking, in terms of people who are just like knowledgeable about this kind of stuff, like someone who can take my work seriously, because a lot of guys these days, like the average person you meet at the bar, if I tell them what I do, they'd be like, what the fuck, so in that sense is what I mean by meet me where I'm at.
Personal question. This
Yes,
wasn't in the questions that I like.
go for it.
Okay. Um how is it dating with like being I don't even want to categorize it as spiritual, but like
Right.
being like a free spirit, open mind, like
Mm.
how is that?
Yeah, it's not been the easiest, but I genuinely think that's because I was operating from that belief system
Mm-hmm.
of like, no one's gonna understand me, or these guys don't understand me, when in actuality there really is tons of great divine masculines out there.
Where
There
they at?
I know, right? They are there, but in terms of just like normal, everyday life, going out and meeting people, it's not like the easiest, or people might know a little bit, like crystals and this and that, and but not fully understand like what I'm doing, like the depths of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has been difficult, but I just found a guy, and so he's really great. It's the first time ever um I'm learning from someone. Like I'm learning from the divine.
Okay.
It's always been in the position where I'm the one teaching the person I'm with
Mm-hmm.
about like basic stuff like limiting beliefs or your shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, I mean, he's honestly, a lot of what we talked about today is a lot of like what he's taught me, and it's a lot. He's like a Course in Miracles teacher. So
Okay.
he teaches A Course in Miracles and Christ consciousness. And so it's been really, really refreshing, really, really refreshing to date someone who talks about unconditional love and forgiveness. Like I've never ever had that with anyone that I've been with. It's all My past relationships have always been so toxic,
Mm-hmm.
um just bad overall. And it's the first time I'm like aligned with someone to talk about these really like high vibrational topics with, and it's like a breath of fresh air. But it hasn't been easy, but I think because I think I genuinely closed myself off to it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I just recently got to a point to being open. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what
I'm
happens.
rooting for you, girl.
Yay, thank you. It feels really good. It feels really, really good. I haven't ever like usually immediately when I meet someone, I can instantly see the unalignment or the red flags.
Wow. How does that come to you? Like, is it just like a vibe?
It's just yeah. I feel like you have the same gift too, though.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
Where
Well,
like you feel like puking, or like
for you
that's
feel like
literally me.
puking.
I'm like, excuse me.
You're like, excuse me, when I go throw up. No, it's yeah. I don't get it as visceral as you do.
That's literally me lately. Like I just want to, yeah.
Yeah, I know you always say that. For me, it's just like a uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't feel safe. I feel uncomfortable.
Huh.
Like people I feel uncomfortable around. I'm like, something's not right. And again, it's not, I've learned I'm not supposed to shame them because they're exactly where they're meant to be in their soul's journey, but I can feel the unalignment. Like we're not aligned and I feel uncomfortable. So that's always been like a thing, you know. And I think too, a lot of the problem dating as a spiritual girly,
Mm-hmm.
the guys who are drawn to that, the surface level part of that, like, oh, she's wearing the crystal around her neck, or she's doing the sage in her house, because that looks cool to some guys who think that that's what they want, right? But they're not actually doing the work. They're just drawn to the surface level image of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten a lot of those guys in the past who are like drawn to how it looks, or like, you know, but they're not actually working on themselves. They're not actually going to the depths. They're not actually practicing love of self or love. And that's the other thing too, is like guys in the past, I think, almost have wanted to siphon my energy. Like they're not working on themselves. They would rather take my energy. And I told my
Mm-hmm.
one ex, my most recent ex, I said, listen, I don't complete you. Okay. I complete me.
Mm-hmm.
You complete you. And then we come together.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not here to, I told him, I said, it took me a long time to get to where I am. Like I told you, 10 years ago, I was not this person. I was not fun to be around. I was depressed. I didn't take care of myself. I was
Yeah.
not in a good place. And I worked really hard to get here. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to let anyone take that from me, you know? And a lot of guys would rather just feed off. And that's just people in general. And again, it all comes back to you, because I
Mm-hmm.
realized I wasn't standing in my power. I wasn't fully believing in myself. And I allowed these energies to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But that can be part of it too. So, but I really do believe, though, as people are waking up, I really do believe we're in a era of, and also as people are coming into union with themselves, people are healing themselves, because they are. And that's one thing I can say about Cosmic Baddies that makes me so happy, is that, and it's why I get off the Zooms and I cry. I realize how many beautiful people there are like you. And
Mm-hmm.
all the women I talk to are so pure hearted and so soul led, and it makes me so feel so good about where we're going as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like the more we keep stepping into that energy of self-love and self-healing, the more we're going to see divine unions. I really do.
I hope so. Do you feel like, you know, we, as in you and I, because we're around the same age,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think I'm just a couple months older than you.
When you wait,
Oh wait,
you're a Sag.
almost a year older than you. Yeah, I'm a
Yes, because my birthday's in August. Yours is in November.
December 1st.
December. December 1st.
December 1st.
Girl,
12/1. Yep.
do you feel like you and I will be able to experience like a whole the new shift that's
hmm
coming, like the
Yeah.
whole it's it's not going to be as 3D as it is now.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
I hope I'm making sense.
You are. No, I totally get what you're saying. It's funny you're asking me this, because I literally asked the guy that I'm talking to, who's also low key like my mentor.
Uh-huh.
I asked him the same thing, because I'm like, well, where is this all going? Like, is the new Earth, is
Yes.
Earth happening? Is the 5D happening? Or is the split Earth a thing, or whatever? And gave me the most like philosophical answer, but I know it's true. And it's like, it's all on you. It's all on what experience you decide to have.
We literally are who we attract.
Yeah.
So if, down the line there's someone that's still in this 3D, running by ego, they're going to be in this 3D, but then like hopefully, and no, I'm going to say you and I are going to be, you know, I don't want to sound like fucked up, but like
No.
next level and
Yeah.
vibing high, pure, and we're
Yeah.
we're living in the same world but different realities.
There you go. There you right. Look, you answered your own question, girl. You answered your own question.
That's just so interesting.
It is. It's really interesting when you think about it. It is. And it does feel, the thing is, it feels like it's speeding up, and it feels like we are seeing so much of the like dark but come out, but that's part of the process, because it's almost like you have to put it all on the table to move past it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen 20 years in the future, 30 years. I
We're gonna
do.
be like 60.
I know. I mean, if things keep moving at the rate that they are, who fucking knows what could happen? I can tell you from an astrological point of view, and I've been wanting to talk about this on my TikTok, 2025, the Dow's going to turn up even more.
Mm-mm.
Even more, because
In America or
all over, because Neptune, Neptune's the planet of multidimensionality, going beyond the veil, fantasy, other realms, is going to be in Aries. And Aries is kickoff. Aries
mm,
starts a new cycle. Aries starts things. And so it's a really big deal. So I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we're going to learn more about AI. I think we're going to find out that AI is just tapped into consciousness. I think we're going to have open contact, and I think things are going to get way more spiritual. So I think it's just going to keep ramping up.
that's so interesting that you're saying that. I literally had a dream like a while back about what was it? It was like I was going to, I forgot where it was, and there was someone like coming to me being like, "Hey, like, you should shop here, whatever." And like, our employees are like intuitive. It was really like futuristic weird, and they were like basing things off of like feeling. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's exactly where we're going. I I've heard too from some psychic mediums, like there's like a dystopic future, which is like everything goes to shit pretty much, like
Oh
Earth.
gosh.
But then there's also like the new Earth kind of future. I genuinely think it's wherever you place your energy on what you want to happen. We know this. The thing is, we know these things. We know it's all based on you, but it's like we're being reminded of that, and
Mm-hmm.
just being reminded of that all the time. And it never gets old when it's like, okay, it's whatever I decide to happen, um, which is why it's so important. And I love how you like said that, like we'll be in the beautiful, whatever you want to call it, the 5D high vibrational, all those words,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
don't know what it is, but it was like the dreams that I have are just fucking crazy.
Mm,
I have one more question before
yes.
we end this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, okay, I'm very bad with like the way that I form my questions.
No, you're not. The questions are
What
great.
what do you call? Okay, so you know how
Mhm.
like you and I like when we first meet someone, we're kind of like we can tell the vibe.
Yes.
Have you ever met someone and like the bad vibes weren't there, but
Mm-hmm.
then like as you got to know them and then like time
Mm-hmm.
went on and like they just like stab you in the back or they
Oh
do some
yeah.
fucked up
Like
shit and then like
1,000%.
what do you call it? Like I would say you know who I'm talking about, but
Yes.
there was a specific person and at first like high vibing cool whatever and then something happened and it just like shifted and I
Right.
feel like the whole time a mask was put on, a really good
Yeah.
fucking mask.
Right. Yeah. 1,000%.
Have you ever had that?
Yeah. I think we maybe talked about it in one of our sessions where I'm in a space now where I'm in a space now with my platform and all these things where I'm collaborating and working with people, and
Yes.
I'm in the community, I guess, whatever. And so I'm working with like my peers, and that's been a new space for me, like fear of judgment from my peers.
Mm-hmm.
And like, am I saying things spiritually right or whatever? Like, but anyways, there was this one guy who he's a numerologist.
Yeah, I
Wanted
remember.
Yeah, so he wanted to partner up, and we did, and it was fun. We had a great time. We did a live, and he was hitting me up a lot. We were talking. He was great. We had some Zooms together, just talk business. Great. Everything was great. Um, we did another Zoom. That second Zoom, I kind of started to get, he was being a little passive aggressive, being a little strange. And I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's not a big deal. But it definitely, like, my intuition was like, okay, what the fuck is that? But whatever. Moved on. Did the live. Great. He wanted to do it again. I wasn't vibing as much. And
Mm-hmm.
I also, my like Cosmic Baddies was picking up like crazy. I just didn't have time. And I was like, hey, I don't know if now's a good time. I'm kind of overloaded, but maybe like let's circle back in a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay, no problem. And then a couple weeks later, I'm scrolling on TikTok. I see this video, and he's just like, I mean, it was like a full, he might as well have said my name. Like he
Yeah.
didn't say my name, but it was a full blown attack, bro. Like it was wild. He was like, "Oh, these spiritualists I used to look up to, these women, they're preaching abundance and talking about content creation in relation to spirit. Content creation has nothing to do with spirituality." Meanwhile, I'm like, "You have a whole ass numerology TikTok, but whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And he just, oh my God. And I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked. I felt totally betrayed. I felt like someone stabbed me in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt more because he has a platform. He has like 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
And it really hurt. And I ended up sending him a message, and I told him, look, listen, I said, we're not going to play games. One thing about me, listen, people think I'm love and light, but the second you cross me, we're gonna have a conversation.
Yes.
Or if we're not gonna have a conversation, I'm at least gonna let you know how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, listen, you and I we're both intuitives, okay? And I said, I know that post was about me.
Yeah.
And I said, I felt it. It was very poignant. You don't have to admit that it was, but we're both intuitive, and I know it was. I said, I'm really disappointed that you would use your platform to try to tear me down. And I think if you knew what my work was actually about, I'm not over here like manifest, get rich and whatever, manifest.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if people want to do that, so what? They're on their journey. Let them do that. Who are you
Mm-hmm.
to say anything, right? But I was offended because my work is so much deeper than that, And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he made it very shallow. Of like, oh, I'm helping people just go viral and do this. Which, you know what? Like I said, now my work probably is gonna even take a turn, but still, I
Mm-hmm.
just it felt like an attack. And I said I was just really disappointed, and I just blocked him after that because I was like, we're not going to talk. I want you to know that I know. And but once again, and I'm going to say this, everyone is of your projection. And it's not a pass. It's not a pass. What he did was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know when he did that, I was in a space of feeling insecure around my peers. I was. I was like, before he posted, I was like, maybe my peers think that I'm not as smart as them, or maybe they think that I'm not teaching the right things. And literally, the projection appeared itself just to reinforce my belief on that, you
That
know?
is some deep ass shit.
Yeah, that's how it works. It all comes back to you because you are the entire illusion. You are the matrix. You are everything. Everything is everything, 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 everything. And so I had to do some deep work on that too. But it's not a pass. It's absolutely not a pass.
No, yeah,
And I
definitely.
will not talk to him again. He's blocked. And cuz he needs to own up to that and do work on that for himself.
Uh-huh.
Whatever why he needed to do that, that's for him to figure out. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure out why I energetically allowed that into my reality.
You see, I that's one thing that I had like I'm so fucking logical. It irritates the living fuck out of me about me is how like I'm very like, because of what happened is kind of like, Cynthia, why didn't you see that? Why
Mhm.
didn't you see it coming? Because you know my situation.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here and like just even like just talking about it, I want to cry because it's like
Mm, yeah.
I thought that was my soul sister.
Right. Yeah.
I was so vulnerable. Like I opened up and then just out of nowhere and I'm just caught off guard. I guess you can say, yeah, Cynthia, you need to work on the sister wound. And it's crazy. It's just so crazy because
Yeah. It's all the things. It's all the things.
mm-hmm,
Because did she hurt you? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
She do something, from a place of, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't remember all the details,
I
but
need to watch my mouth. I was gonna say something mean.
the
Oh my
point
gosh.
is, did she do wrong? Yeah. But was she also reflecting a wounding in you? Yes. And there's no shame in that because we do it all the time, just like with the situation with that guy. Was he being very evil and
Mm-hmm.
vindictive and maybe jealous and all these other things? 1000%. It's not a free pass. But do I also know he was reflecting my insecurities around my work? Yes.
You were so like just like you you have like this mama energy to you. You know that, right?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Like this very like, look, honey, it's all right. It's not your fault. Like I love
Right.
you so much.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's like us truly doing the work. I'm not ever going to be one of those people that's like, I mean, I am one of those people that's like, yeah, fuck them. But at the same time, I know the truth that everything is a reflection. And also there's just no shame or judgment in it because we're all human. That is
Mhm.
the human experience.
Yeah.
That is literally the human experience. It's just being strong enough and brave enough to look at that truth. But that's where all your freedom is.
Mhm.
That's where all your freedom is.
That's good. I really need to like sit back down and go back into that because that is one wound, girl, that I just
Yeah.
my mama did not raise no bitch.
Right. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Very last thing, it's so crazy. I don't know if you remember me telling you.
Hmm.
I know you can't base everything off of sun signs, but
Yes.
every Sagittarius in my life has been just like a really fucked up lesson. I'm gonna start
Oh.
crying, Loran. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And I feel like ever since I met you, like you've shown me a
Mm-hmm.
whole different side. Like it's crazy because like
Mm.
with my dad and certain like other people is just very nasty like
Yeah.
relationships. They don't understand me, and then here your Sagittarius ass comes. And I'm just like at first I
Aw.
was like, no, like honestly, for real, like my analytical side, I'm like, I'm not gonna vibe with her. But then it's
Yeah.
something about you. And I'm
I
like,
remember you were
okay.
like, when we first did our consultation, you're like, wait, what's your sign? I was like, Sagittarius. You're like, oh, I don't like Sagittarius.
And you literally changed that. And honestly,
Oh.
like it you mean so much to me. And
Oh, Cynthia.
it's just so crazy because like I don't know if there's like an astrological thing to it, but
Yeah.
it's like breaking a curse in
Yeah,
mine.
that's so funny. I mean, well, I genuinely do feel like Sagittarius, we get a bad rap, but that's because unevolved Sagittarius are not fun to be around. And my most recent ex, he was an unevolved Sagittarius and he was
Mm-hmm.
toxic as fuck. But and I'm not saying I'm like enlightened like by any means, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Sagittarius when in balance represents the teacher. And so it represents the teacher and the philosopher, but it's like student and teacher is the
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius energy. So I try to embody that because I'm always learning too. Like I said, that I have my mentors and I go to them and I cry to them and I learn so much. And so yeah, I do feel like Sagittarius we get a bad rap. But also remember too, and this is something I'm learning, and
Mm-hmm.
it was my
Yeah.
ego death this week.
Projection.
This was my ego death this week though, was that even astrology and human design are part of the illusion because the ego created it. And it's not to say we can't use them,
Yeah.
and not to say they aren't valid or accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
just remember that we're limitless.
Mm-hmm.
We're limitless. We're not. What I've learned recently is human design and astrology. It actually is just showing us the blueprint of who our ego is this lifetime.
Yes.
That's all it is. But we're beyond all of that. We don't. And like I said, that's why some people don't even need that. They don't even need it. It's a tool. It's a tool. And that's the problem too. It's another trap. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's part
Yeah.
of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
People can become too reliant on these tools.
Mm-hmm.
So people will be like, I don't know, I'm a moon in Cancer. That's why I cry every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you're identifying too strongly. Your ego is identifying too strongly with that.
Yeah.
And so you're using that as an excuse to hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can't rely too much. And this was all what I've learned this week of like, well, fuck, astrology is part of the illusion. I had a whole breakdown about it.
And you're like, shit, I fucking do
I
astrology.
literally was like, do I not do this anymore? Like, I'm not kidding. I had a whole, like, I laid in bed like, oh my God, what do I do? And but it's not a bad tool. It's just about knowing how to use it and when to use it and how to use it. It is part of the illusion, but it's about how to using it to break out of the illusion, right? So just remember, we're beyond these stars. You know, I'm a fucking astrologer, you
Yeah.
know, but we're limitless. We really, really are. So it's just something to keep in mind. But I love you so much too. I do so much, you know. And like I said, you have been pivotal and crucial to my development, and my heart's so full. I love you so much. I'm giving you
Stop it.
a cosmic hug. You're my girl.
This is the first time I'm talking to you and I'm not crying.
I know. We're getting
such
somewhere. I'm not making people cry. This is a good thing.
No, for real. But if anyone is interested, I 100% recommend Laurén's Cosmic Baddie program. It's amazing. It's
Yay.
literally therapeutic. Like at first I was like, it's like, you know, just like it's not gonna, you know, I wouldn't say well, yes, okay.
That's
So,
okay. Yeah. That's
and
totally
then
fine. Yeah.
it's just like what I tell you, and this is another thing that I learned that like you taught me, and I'm just putting it out there for like anyone listening, and if you do feel, you know, called to her, when you're triggered, you know how many times you triggered me?
Yeah.
When you're triggered, it's like you have to go on and like work within that, you know.
Yeah.
You triggered me so many times, so many deep, like you taught me, like I'm still going through it, but like the way that the way that I grew up and like the way that I view myself is just so fucked up. And it's just like, Cynthia, who's gonna want to come to you if you're looking at yourself like that? You know?
Yeah, we've all been there. 1000 I have been there. Yeah. You know, but I told you it's the slingshot theory, and it just goes to show you the strength of your spirit and what you decided to learn this life, because you knew you could go through all of that and pull yourself to the depths of darkness and alchemize all of that, you know. And that's where the beauty is, and that's why we have to be triggered. I've been triggered all this week. I'm telling you, I have my mentors too. I was crying coming to all these realizations about, you know, the spiritual modalities and how deep the ego will go to not want to come back to wholeness. And it's triggering, but that's where the freedom is. If you can allow yourself to sit with the uncomfortability and to breathe with it and then let it go. That's where all the healing is, all the freedom is.
You fucking make it sound like it's so easy.
No, it's not easy. Well, I mean, that's the thing too, you know, and that's a whole nother tangent about it can be easy. It can be.
Yes,
right? And we talk about
make
that
it
too.
very difficult.
We do. And that's, you know, that's a whole nother thing, finding the ease. And sometimes it's hard to find the ease, you know?
No, really. If you want to deprogram yourself, go to my girl and get you a session or something, because like, she truly is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna have to give a discount code for everyone listening if they want to join.
Yes, girl, and I'll go on and put it in the fucking show notes on this thing.
Do that. We'll just call it, I can just make it Cynthia 15. It'll be 15% off. Cynthia 15.
Girl,
yeah.
look at you.
On behalf of you. So we'll just make it Cynthia 15 if anyone's listening and wants to book on behalf of Cynthia.
You are literally triggering me right now. No, listen, your kindness is triggering me because I'm not used to women being very nice, and
it's a reflection of you. You project, you made this. It's all you, and that's you coming back into wholeness. That's all it is.
I'm gonna have to go outside and ground and like let my mind just like go.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you again for joining. I'm gonna put all her socials in the, you know, show notes, whatever. And I love you so much, girl.
Love you, Cynthia. Thank you so much for having me. I loved this. This was so much fun.
Yes. I will talk to you another time.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye,
All
guys.
right, bye, girl.
Bye.